Hey guys, in this video I will show you the speed to lead campaign workflow that we are currently working on. Yo guys, in this video I'll show you our speed to lead workflow that we are currently working on for our open source appointment setters. So what the fuck do I do on this YouTube channel? I share what worked for us, what didn't, where we failed, and what we are doing. Hey guys, in this video I'll show you the speed to lead campaign workflow that we are currently working on. Hey guys, in this video I'll show you our speed to lead campaign workflow for our open source appointment setter that Yo guys, in this video I'll show you the speed to lead workflow that we're currently working on for our open source appointment setter. My name is Eugene. I run the six-figure AI agency right now, and yo guys, in this video I'll show you the speed to lead campaign workflow that we're currently working on for our open source appointment setter. For those who are new, my name is Eugene. I'm currently running a six-figure AI agency and working on launching my new startup that will be Yo guys, in this video I'll show you our speed to lead workflow we're currently working on for our open source appointment setter. My name is Eugene. I am currently running a six-figure AI agency and in a process of launching my new AI startup and sharing the journey of scaling it to $1 million ARR. So what this is, it's basically the open source appointment setter that you can rely on that supports voice and text, can book appointments, run speed to lead campaigns, nurture, qualify, engage with the leads, reactivate dead leads from the CRM. These are the main features, and in terms of the tool stack, we're having our own custom built interface run on Lovable and Supabase. We're using NIDA and Retail, Go High Level, Twilio, and Tolnux. So what I do in this channel, sharing what works for us, where we failed, and what we're doing to scale to $1 million ARR. Why diary documenting as a social proof? Obviously make money from you guys because you are our potential clients. So we want to share the journey of us developing this solution, plus networking and partnership opportunities. Now, if you have not been following the YouTube videos, I advise you to go back for a few videos to get more context, but this is the main workflow that we're kind of right now in the process of improving. The core idea is very simple. Let's say we are going to the leads and we upload all of the leads through a CSV file. Then we select all the leads that we have, and then we can push them to a campaign, to our workflow. Now, this workflow is going to be the engagement workflow. Now, I am thinking on how specifically this is going to be done because we have like, should we do a separate interface dashboard for the campaigns or not? I am not yet sure, because I would want to track all the analytics. Now, obviously, we do have the custom analytics that is presented on the dashboard, where you can see how many conversations has happened, as well as you can create a custom metrics that are going to be analyzing the entire conversation history for both text and voice. But when it comes to the speed to lead, right? So like the engagement, you would want to see the stats like a speed to reply, the actual speed to lead for the first contact, the reply rate for the first engagement, the reply rate for the second engagement. Because if we go into the engagement workflow, we have, let's say we're adding the prospect manually to this campaign, then we're waiting for a certain period of time. Let's say it's going to be like usually 5-7 minutes, because again, like, you can engage right away within a few seconds, but because we're going to be mimicking that we are like the lead is talking to a human, at least through the text, because voice is obviously noticeable that this is the AI, but the text is almost undistinguishable. So we would want to wait, and then we're doing the engagement. Now, engagement, we can do either only SMS, only WhatsApp, or only phone call, or do all of them together and set the delay between all of these actions. So when it comes to the analytics, right? So like, we first would want to see in the dashboard when was the first interaction. Now, of course, it is set here, so it's not like it's dynamic that you need to analyze it, but at least you want to see, okay, so like, what is it? Is it like a few minutes, or maybe you're going to be changing it throughout the period of time, running different engagements, and you would want to track it. So this is something to figure out. Now, but also when we're doing the engagement on different channels, so SMS, WhatsApp, and phone call, we want to see, okay, so for this first engagement number one, what's the response rate for the SMS text messages, and what is the time for the response rate? Same thing for the WhatsApp. So for the phone calls, obviously, what's the pickup rate for the first engagement campaign, as well as for how long this call lasts. Now, then you would want to see separate set of analytics for the engagement number 2, engagement number 3, right? And we usually, like, what we've been doing for the clients when we've been building custom interfaces, like this is obviously I'm packaging in the open source solution that I'm releasing to everyone. So like, we need to package it in an interface. Now, like, can we do it in the analytics? Sure. But how? Yes, if we're creating a metric, now this can be a metric of like, hey, what's going to be a response rate, right? But this can be different campaigns. Are there going to be different campaigns? I don't know. Because, see, the engagement workflow looks very similar as the database reactivation workflow, because if you think about this, it's the same thing, right? It's like, we have a lead. Let's say this lead comes in and it comes to our one prompt, CRM. And obviously it comes to usually the go high level, and then it is synced with our system. So when this lead comes in, it's added to the CRM. Then when we run a speed to lead, we still run the outbound, right? So like SMS or WhatsApp or whatever phone call, right? Now, dead leads reactivation campaigns is kind of similar, where you're having the leads in the database and you're just still doing the outbound through the SMS and WhatsApp and phone call. So it's still kind of the same, but I mean, and like, you probably want to see the same metrics. Like, okay, it's like how many responded, how fast they responded, and how many responded on a certain stage. So technically speaking, it's the same workflow. It's the same workflow, but just with a different thesis. But how do we track it separately? I'm not yet sure. Again, so this is why you need to subscribe and see what we're gonna come up with. Because here, see, we have a database reactivation as a tool, but it is not finished, which is having its own analytics. But I'm not a big fan of complicating and having like different campaigns analytics. So somehow need to figure out how to put everything into here, and obviously maybe separated by like tabs. Like, for example, in the logs, right? So like, we have the AI jobs, we have all the follow-ups, we have all the errors. Here, I'm not sure what's up with this column. Okay, need to fix that. So this is one thing, okay, for us to figure out. But what I wanted to actually share with you is the way we are currently working on the development for certain features. Now, for example, so I was finalizing today this specific workflow, okay, the engagement one, and we're gonna actually test it with you right now live and see if it's gonna work. But so I had a problem where before that I tested. So see, we have an SMS and it's like, yo, first name, and this first name comes from, obviously the contact. We're saying, hey, first name, what's going on? And I was actually testing it and it did work. So like it says, hey, whatever name. But then the second engagement, like when I say, hey, any news, is this your phone number? Now, this is dummy data. Obviously, you're not going to be sending this. But the phone number was not passed. And I was trying to debug it with Lovable. And as you can see, I was like, when everything collapsed. No, wait. So, okay, interesting. So I have tested the execution. And if you see, the number was not valid, right? So like basically, I said that the number variable was not passed. Okay. So it says, okay, let me investigate, and it says that, oh, because the edge function is not passing the data to the trigger dev, because we are using the trigger dev as the backend for our workflows. Because again, we are going to be having hundreds of users that are going to be using our setter. And each user is obviously going to have hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of leads at the same time running, especially for the bigger agencies that are using it for their clients. Just like this needs to be robust. And we couldn't rely simply on the edge functions, especially for the longer term, for the longer scheduled and, like actions like follow-ups and delays. So this is why we're using the trigger dev. Now, the way we work with the trigger dev is through the Claude code. And by the way, I think you don't see the Claude code. So let me try to share my entire screen here. Display capture should work. Yeah, so now you should see the Claude code. I mean, this is cursor, and the Claude code connects it to the cursor. So what happened here is basically I decided to re-verify it, right? Because Lovable was like, oh, you need to change the trigger dev, okay? And then it's like, okay, but why? If the edge function passes this phone number, like edge function in my head was like edge function, like this SMS action is getting triggered, edge function is getting triggered. It's retrieving all the custom fields or all the general fields for each lead, and then passing it as a text to the edge function, and the edge function to the trigger dev, and the trigger dev is then basically triggering go high level that is sending the reply, okay? And I was like, oh, okay. So like I was going back and forth, and I was like, okay, so like what do you think is going to be the best solution? This or, change the trigger dev? And it says, good question. The edge function can do variable sedation. Here's why. Anyway, so it basically said that it's better to have it in the edge function. But then I decided to re-verify it with Claude Code, and I said, oh, I'm talking to Lovable, and here's what it advised me. And an interesting part is that here's what it said. It said, no, I disagree with Lovable approach. The fix belongs to actually the trigger dev, and it started to deploy it in the trigger dev. See, so once we introduced the trigger dev, we obviously started to use Claude Code more often, and now we're having like two coders, like which is the Lovable side and the Claude Code. Claude Code is connected to the Supabase, so it has all the contacts. So it's kind of very interesting approach to double verify everything. But regardless of that, so I wanted to see and test how everything is going to be working. I had one thought. Let me verify a payload name, payload. Okay. So let's save and let's try to let's try it out. So if we go into the, I believe, chat, we can go to the chat and we can find the contact, which is unknown. So this is my task number, okay? So let me go to the lead. Now, and let me launch the campaign for this lead. Okay, engagement launch. So it's launching, the campaign was launched, workflow, engagement workflow, execution, failed. Interesting. So why initially missing the send SMS webhook URL? Obviously because we have changed this URL, actually. I have just tried to run the engagement workflow, and as you can see on the failed delay, it said that error missing client sent SMS webhook URL, but we have a different webhook for the engagement. For all the engagements, we are running the send engagement webhook URL. So can you please fix that? And also, when the delay is, or when any step is getting failed, please, you need to mark this as red. Like, so you need to highlight the border in red and have the red cross. Anyways, so while we are waiting for this fix, now guys, again, if you want more context, you better go and watch the previous videos. But the idea is that, because you might think, oh, let's say we're going to be sending SMS. From where we're sending this SMS engagement? Now, if you check out the structure of the tools that we are using, so we have obviously Telnux and Twilio, right? We could connect through their APIs and obviously send it now, but we are also sending the WhatsApps, plus we want it to be synced inside the Go High Level. We built the interface here where you don't need to use Go High Level. This is the CRM, right? And obviously it's much easier to connect this with a third-party CRM like HubSpot, like Systems.io, like Salesforce. So you have your own chats, you have your own leads, analytics, everything. So you and your clients don't need to move out, from this. But like some of our clients, existing clients, we haven't released the open source yet, it's getting released in 5 days, are using Go High Level already full time, and their clients use it. So of course we would want them to see all the conversations, right? So like if they are having all of their chats here, and if they're managing all of the chats, so obviously we would want them to kind of see it here. So like, but if we send, for example, the engagement from the Twilio, it's not going to be synced here. And then this is why the entire thing is based on the Go High Level. But what used to happen before is we were relying on Go High Level too much, meaning all the like workflows and all the logic was actually built here, and then our interface was just purely interface. But now it is more like the actual system, and the Go High Level is used as a channel connector, because in reality, like we had it for a few clients. This instance of the software was running purely on outside of the Go High Level. So obviously for the phone calls, we were using a direct connection with retail, and the retail was, we were connecting the Twilio and Telnux numbers. So for the SMS, we're using the direct Twilio and the retail connection. For the WhatsApp, which this was harder, so we were trying to do the solution through Unipile. Now Unipile, we heard like a few things about it, so I was like, okay, so like we need to understand like how to make it work in a robust way. So this is how we were connecting to the WhatsApp, but yeah, it wasn't like built for the outbound. So this is why the Go High Level is still the gold standard for all the channel connections. And then we're, if you don't want, you don't need to even log in here ever. Now it said that it did the fix. Usually it's not, I didn't need to reload the page, but let's reload and let's see what's gonna happen. Okay. Now we see the execution. Probably need to add the button to retry the execution, but okay. Let's do this. Let me open it in a separate interface so that we can, from chats, probably need to mark the unknown as the star. Unknown, and let's mark this as a star. Let's close the nodes so now we can see them in the nodes. And let's go to delete, or we can just keep it in delete. Okay, so let's launch the workflow. This launch workflow, launch. Okay, so this okay, running, that's good. Jesus Christ. Okay, so you can see that it was running for a sec, but then it's missing the webhook. What it did? Webhook fixed the trigger def, sent SMS, edge function now sent SMS, and send WhatsApp webhook in the payload. Okay, let me try to debug this quickly. So you can see that sometimes, especially for how heavy our app is right now, it takes like 4 or 5 minutes to figure out a thing, right? It's like it's doing a lot of things, and on top of that, it's eating so many tokens. So I'm probably spending around like 2,000 lovable tokens on like every week. So yeah, more or less, maybe every 10 days. And again, look, of course, there are more optimized ways, especially after the new code release, to do that. But again, like we've been using Lovable, and this interface was built a while back when we've been using it for our clients builds and for the main one-prompt license program for more than a year. But so this is why like we wanted to build on top of that, and I'm okay with spending $500 to $1,000 more per month just for us to be able to navigate through that freely. There's a sync now writes the webhook. Okay, please resave your GHL credentials to trigger this sync. Okay, interesting. I'm not sure why it's asking that, which is weird, but okay. So let me resave all of these credentials. Okay, which through the air, obviously. Air field to update external, send SMS webhook. Wait. Anyways, guys, so I don't want to make this video 40-50 minutes long of the live build. By the way, if any of you interested for me to show how we deploy a feature from A to Z, it's gonna be a longer video, but let me know. When I say, by the way, we, it means that I have 2 more developers, and we are working on the different features because they're usually working on the back end. I'm working in the front end. But again, probably gonna be recording another video for that. Now, the updates are gonna be on this channel every day. So tomorrow, this will be probably working, and I will make sure to show you how everything is going. We'll show you the live demo. So please stay updated. Cheers.